one for the one and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach Mays, RK, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Couple with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR. We are live from Studio A here at the DNVR bar. The A stands for Angry Coaches.
Oh,
I'm glad it didn't stand for something that was A as in the article A.
The first thing I thought of was...
I'm really happy about that.
The first thing I thought of was a little bit of drama.
No,
I was like,
angry is better.
Mace will hate that.
To make Mace angry, next time say an angry coach. Just to, put it
But at least it's not A, though. And,
we will talk all about a little bit of coach drama. I love coach drama.
Spicy. And this is great. We got two sides to this.
Right.
It's giving the Broncos national traction for the first time all season.
I'm so happy that this came up today. Like, I got restoked because I have inside information that you two disagree on this. So I can't wait to watch this. Anyways.
I've slept on it, though.
Oh, no. Don't come in here being all, like,
I was the one with the hot
reasonable and
take
stuff.
last night in our group chat.
Anyways, we're presented by MSU Denver Online. MSUdenver.edu/online, where you scope out all they have to offer. The single best place to go if you are looking to further your education while working a full-time job. Students who attend MSU Denver work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. All right, let's jump into this. Zach, I'll have you lay the foundation for all that has happened up until now.
Yes. So, obviously, last night, the Broncos are
You
down.
can say my boys, too, if you want.
Oh, my boys! Get us started off the right foot. But, of course, last night, Broncos down. Probably not a lot of people actually watching near the end of the game. Broncos down 23-17. Drew Lock had just thrown an interception. 3 seconds left on the clock. The Baltimore Ravens had 42 straight games in which they had rushed for 100 yards. If they got to 43 games, then they would tie the all-time record for most 100-yard games in a row. They're sitting at 97 yards with 3 seconds left. So what does a typical team do 99% of the time? They come out, take a knee, game over. Not John Harbaugh. In fact, according to Lamar Jackson, it was all John Harbaugh's plan to get this.
Really? That's
Yes.
so interesting because I was going to say, I bet you it was Lamar's idea.
I would have thought so, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lamar, after the game, was shocked. He said, I was planning on taking a knee. And Coach said, no, you're going to go get this record.
Okay, keep going.
Well, I mean, if they really wanted the record, shouldn't they have let the Broncos score to get an opportunity? That's what John McKay did for James Wilder back in 1984.
I think that's what we learned from what Harbaugh had to say today. But again, keep going down the timeline because I think it was like a revenge thing.
So what do? Then the Ravens come out not in victory formation. Vic on the sideline realizes what they're about to do, starts screaming at his players to get ready for this. The Baltimore Ravens run it, get 5 yards, top 100 yards on the ground, finish with 102 yards. Vic Fangio, so pissed on the sideline, throws his headset down on the ground. You have multiple players screaming about it. And then
Kolar screaming, too.
Yes.
Shelby Harris.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And then nothing's asked about it after the game. And then today, Vic is asked about it. And he said, can I say what he said?
Say it.
He said,
earmuffs for the kids.
Earmuffs. That it was kind of bullshit. And then he continued. Should we stop there or continue?
Keep it going.
I think the spicier stuff is to come.
He said, I thought it was kind of bullshit, but I expected it from them. 37 years in pro ball, and I've never seen anything like that. But it was to be expected, and we expected it.
Keep going.
Okay.
There's more.
And then he was asked, why'd you expect that? A guy who, by the way,
Worked them.
under John Harbaugh 2 years and was with the Ravens for 2 years. He said, I just know how they operate. That's their mode of operation here. Player safety is secondary.
That's the bomb.
That's calling out another organization. And if you're going to call out another team, you sure as hell better have some receipts on this.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Because to me, this was like a little salty.
Mm-hmm.
You got embarrassed a little bit by them, and now you're kind of like sending strays their way. And to me, like you said, you better have some receipts because someone at the NFL office should be making a call today, right?
Yeah.
Or from the NFLPA,
Right.
should be
right.
making a call to Vic Fangio
Yeah,
saying, "Hey,
I need
so
to protect my guys.
what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Well, Teddy left on a concussion that appeared to be a helmet lowering into his face mask. And I
Yeah, but
think
that happens in every
it
game.
happens, but I think in Vic's defense, again, you got to have receipts. And it's got to be more than just one game. In Vic's
Well-
defense, he's probably thinking about a hit like that.
Well, and there was another added juice on this from Vic. He was asked later, were you upset about, did the Ravens take any other liberties throughout the game? And Vic didn't say no. He said, I'm sure there is some, but I can't give you a number on them. So right there, he said, you don't need the receipts back to 2008. He's saying there's some in that game.
Very interesting. Okay, then Harbaugh responds.
Jim Harbaugh did respond, was specifically
John.
asked, or John, yes, I'm sorry, the brothers confused. Vic has worked for both of them, too,
Yes.
which there's another little twist to this in a second, too. John was asked about it, and he said, I thought we were good. We were on good terms. We had a nice chat before the game, but I promise you, I'm not going to give that insult 1 second of thought. What's meaningful to us is not necessarily meaningful to them. And then he went on, and I don't have the exact quote, but he said, I wasn't aware that there was a 16-point play that could be made in the NFL. So what were the Broncos doing? What was Vic Fangio doing, trying to get a touchdown there with 10 seconds left in the game?
Well, okay. In Vic's defense there, you get a touchdown with 10 let's say the pass is complete with 8 seconds left. You get the 2-point conversion. It's 23-15. You get the onside kick, and maybe you've got 1 or 2 seconds left
You've lost
for a
me.
Hail Mary.
You've lost
I
me.
mean,
Not me.
realistically, no.
Yep,
but is
exactly.
it theoretically possible? Yes. I mean, it came up, but you think of the Jets-Broncos game last year, and remember the Broncos, they threw it away, and then they tried to throw it again because they're trying to run out the clock. Why not take a knee? Well, it's 4th down there. You could have
Right,
gone
you
for a
need
field goal, but with your special teams, do you run the risk of it being blocked, taken the other way, and then onside kickoff, Jets recover, and then they get a Hail Mary? These are things that coaches do think about.
If
Because
the-
you don't
Of course.
want to be the next John McVay, who of course is in the Sean McVay family. John McVay was the coach of the Giants when they called the handoff that got botched in the Miracle at the Meadowlands back in 1978. You don't want to go down in history that way if you're a football coach. So
If it's a 3-score game, I think the Broncos call 4 run plays or whatever, run the clock out, it's over.
Yeah.
But they actually had a chance. And in fact, I was on the complete opposite side of this. I hated the way the Broncos managed that drive because to me, it didn't feel like they felt like they had a chance. And so I was sitting here saying, what the hell are they doing? Stop throwing to the middle of the field, get out of bounds, try to at least pretend like you think you have a chance here.
not only that, when the Ravens had the ball the previous series and in the Justin Tucker field goal, why are you not taking time out if you believe
Exactly.
you have a shot?
Exactly.
And getting the ball back with 3 minutes to go instead of $1.54.
And so for me, that mismanagement showed me that at the end of the game, I mean, was it possible? Sure. But like you said, Mace, it wasn't realistic. I'd love to see how many teams have actually done that. My guess is 0 teams have ever done
See
that.
that high school team in Arizona? a
No,
couple
high
weeks
school
ago?
team in Arizona. There we go. Now we're getting down it. But to me, the Broncos weren't playing to win at the end of the game. They were playing to have a tiny bit of momentum going in.
It was like trying to move the vibes needle 1 notch.
Exactly. And
From terrible to
exactly.
slightly less terrible.
And that's exactly what they were playing for. Just like when the Giants did it a couple weeks ago and they actually got in the end zone. That's what the Broncos are playing for. So John Harbaugh, the way he views it is they
We were doing
weren't
the
playing
same
for the
thing.
win right there. We were doing the same thing. We were trying for this one little thing. And as John said today, wasn't a little thing to them. How many people 1 week ago outside of Baltimore knew about this record? Probably none.
I didn't know about it at any
I
point
didn't
until
either.
they mentioned it in the game.
But
Yeah.
to them,
Incredibly
it was a
esoteric.
huge
Yes.
thing. So that's how John is viewing this, and I think there's a point there.
Well, and for him, he can defend it by saying, this is our identity. I want to be able to go in there and say, we're the best rushing team of all time,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's also their identity to keep going because there was a game where they were up 52-10 late on Miami and threw another touchdown to get to 59-10.
Yeah. So
Yeah. This is what they do.
I do think I was in our conversation last night, I was the most in the middle on this.
Yep.
I get why Vic's mad. I think you absolutely, as a defense, have every right to expect that they're going to come out there and kneel it. If they thought they were going to run it and they wanted to stop it for pride, Shelby Harris wouldn't be yelling on the sidelines. He'd be on the field.
So really quick, because I agree with you, if they would have gotten a victory formation and then did a handoff, that would have been,
Well, yeah,
then
that would've been Bush
that
League.
throws in Bush League, but then that also is player safety, because then that's totally unexpected and someone can get blindsided. But it was clear. I mean, they're in shotgun about to, and looks like it's a very real running formation.
But some teams actually do snap it into shotgun for their kneel downs now, just because they're not comfortable going under center.
That's true.
So
Because
that's
they don't
actually
have
what I
enough practice,
thought.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Again, I wasn't thinking about this record at all. So I actually thought, oh, they're just going to snap it to Lamar. And then when they ran it, I'm like, what the? And I looking at tweets. I'm like, oh, it was for the record. But I think that everyone kind of has a point here.
Yep. I think that's fair.
Well, it's sort of like, I mean, I hate to bring up unwritten rules, but it's kind of an unwritten rule that if the game is decided and you're ahead, that you take a knee if there's no chance of stopping it. Now, there's a way to solve this, to prevent this from ever happening. The old Arena League had a rule that said if you lost yardage and you were the team in front in the last minute of play, the clock stopped. And if you wanted to put an end to kneel downs entirely in our lifetime, you'd pass a rule like that. The NFL...
That would be incredible. If you get a TFL, you get to stop the clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to see this. It's never coming to the
Yeah,
NFL,
no.
but I would
Man.
absolutely love to see this. And then we wouldn't be having this discussion right now because you'd have to run an actual play.
That's
Right.
so epic. It
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of the Elam ending in basketball that's gaining momentum of the endings of games can sometimes be super boring and
Oh, yeah.
anticlimactic. And in basketball, you of course get the fouls and this and that. So are you guys familiar with the Elam ending?
No.
So it's
Tell me.
basically you get to a number or a time,
Okay.
and once you hit that, it's set. You take the team that's leading and you add 7 points,
Okay.
and whoever gets to that number first wins. So fouling doesn't help you anymore, right? You just have to get stops. So it encourages them to just keep playing basketball.
Well, the thing that we'd like to get rid of in basketball is the notion of being ahead by 3 and intentionally fouling at midcourt.
Sorry if there's any diehard Elam ending lovers and I messed that up, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's I got the
you a
idea.
fan?
But I get it, because the whole point is kind of taking that out. I think if you're up 3 and you foul at midcourt and send the opponent to the line for 2 shots in the final seconds, it's the most cowardly thing. I want to see you actually play.
Yeah, exactly. It takes
Yeah.
that kind of stuff out
Right.
of it. I am a fan of it, but I hate that it's funny that this conversation comes up on this show. What I hate about it is it ruins the whole record books. Because all of a sudden, games
right.
aren't a standard length anymore.
Right.
Some games are shorter, some games are longer.
You're NASCAR at this point.
Right.
You're adding the green white checker at the end of a race to make it the Daytona 505.
I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
No
but
idea.
But yeah, exactly. It's weird if you change it because then all the record books, someone will probably set the record for best free throw percentage because they didn't have to shoot a bunch under high pressure at the end of the game when they were getting fouled. Little things like that they're just changed forever. And there's part of me that's like, why do I care about that? But for some reason I do. And it goes into Harbaugh.
The integrity of the game.
For Harbaugh, it's like he cares about it. And so where I draw the line is if someone got hurt, the entire debate would be so different today. And just because someone didn't doesn't necessarily, I think, mean change the way we think about it. Players were at risk. Guys' livelihoods were at risk. It is very possible someone gets their foot stepped on or their ankle stepped on. They break their ankle. They're done for the season. Maybe they never play the same again.
But here's the thing: you have that throughout the entire game.
But
And
this
you
game-
ha-
This is not necessary, though. This is not necessary to determining the result.
Then that last play when the Broncos are going down the field, Vic had already mismanaged the game, so where the Broncos didn't have a chance to win. So what you're putting your guys at risk by doing that. You're
Yes.
putting Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton
Yes.
at risk for jump balls coming down.
I completely
Maybe
agree.
you should have been playing David Moore and
Yes.
Kendall Hinton.
Sure, yeah.
should have.
That series.
But I'm just saying now. See, Ryan, you view it as if someone got injured, we'd be talking about this differently. And you're right, there'd be a lot more conversation about it, and there's a lot of conversation around it already. But what if this was flipped? And what if this was the Broncos going for a record that had 43 games? That dates over so many seasons. I'm sure people here would be saying, I love that he went for it. I love that they went. They only needed 3 yards. It's not like they had to do anything crazy to get it.
And that's why I'm so in the middle on this, because you know what I would say if it was the Broncos on the other side? If you don't like it, stop it.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
But we hear player safety over and over and over
Yes.
again. I mean,
it's a tough game.
It is a tough game, but the one thing that you kind of hear is that you don't want any unnecessary risk. Did you guys ever see the movie Rush about the Formula One drivers?
I did
years
not.
ago?
No.
No.
Okay, like Nicky Lauda is one of, like, he's speaking to the other drivers. They don't want to race in the rain on the Nürburgring. And he's like, I accept that there's a 20% chance that I may die doing this, but it's 20% and no more. I'm not willing to increase that risk, and that we shouldn't go out and race. And so every player knows there's a risk in the typical run of play of getting hurt. But to add a play that isn't the typical run of play, the professional standard in that scenario is to take a knee, then that bothers guys. It's like, okay, I accept the risk if it's part of the typical
normal
game,
play.
but not in this. This is
and I
across
think-
the line.
I think he has a point here, because the Broncos were not expecting it. They
They should be expecting it whenever they're on the field, and
Okay.
especially because they weren't in it. In like I said, if it was a victory formation and they tricked you, that's BS. It wasn't.
Who was the team? It was Shiano, right, with the Buccaneers.
that
Yeah.
rushed the Giants
Yeah.
On a
when they
kneel
were
down.
trying to kneel down. That's why I keep I say.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
That's different.
Why?
What?
Isn't it different? Because they were saying we are giving up. Why would the Broncos, who don't have the
No.
ball, say we are giving
But
up?
the Giants were just kneeling it out. They were doing the right
And the
thing to
Bucks
do.
were
Right.
rushing it. And they were trying
Right.
to strip the ball.
But-
it was that
wait, yeah.
big chest football guy, Harry High School.
Never
stuff.
stop. Yeah.
because it was the team
Losing
that
team?
controlled the ball said we are giving up.
We're letting. No, they're saying we're calling this game over.
Exactly. We are giving ourselves up.
We are up.
right.
You
right?
can't stop the
right.
clock.
The Ravens are the ones who control the ball. They're the ones that
So
get to control
you're saying they're
that.
taking a risk?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm just saying. Both teams are under the understanding that is going to be a kneel down, or at least that's the way it thinks.
It's a
so if
sportsmanship
But last night,
thing.
or are you still talking about yesterday?
yes,
No, both teams were not under that assumption.
that's what's expected though. Both teams expect to walk out there. This is just a formality. You kneel down, we all walk off.
But you got to be ready that's not going to
Why
happen.
though? Why do you need to be ready for that?
Because they have the ball. You just threw an interception, so you give them control of it. And if they want to run, I mean, maybe it's because I played too much Madden, Ryan, and you understand that, you typically don't kneel the ball out to end games,
because there's no conscience. They're digital bits. They're not people.
But Mace, this isn't an extra play added. This was in the 60 minutes.
It was in the 60 minutes in a scenario that since time immemorial, the professional standard is to take a knee.
Yeah,
And the
I
thing
think
is-
the
yeah.
Broncos were at extra risk because they weren't expecting that play to happen.
Well, then you shouldn't be on a football field if you're not ready for a simple run to happen. Again, they didn't do anything crazy. They didn't trick you into believing until the snap happened.
I
How
feel
many
like
times
Vic
have guys
knew it
gotten
was
injured
coming.
on non-crazy plays?
And
And
here-
just routine.
Here's exactly that happens, Mace.
Yes.
it happens all the time.
again, so
regardless
it's not
if
worth
it's 3
the extra
seconds
risk.
left or 3
Yeah.
seconds into the
So
game.
should the offense be prepared for Kareem Jackson to dive
Absolutely.
over the pile at the snap if they're kneeling the ball?
Well, no. Let's turn it this way. No. Because what I'm saying about that is the offense is the one that controls what they do there.
Okay.
The offense controls whether the game's over or they're running another play. If the offense gives up, then yeah, you as a defense, you probably shouldn't be going crazy, especially if you're down multiple scores like that. But let's turn it to, let's say Kareem Jackson and the Broncos defense plays really hard on that play. Well, you know what? John Harbaugh just put his guys at risk by doing that. That's fine if Kareem Jackson makes a legal hit and hurts someone, or any Bronco does. They took the risk, and that was stupid of John Harbaugh to do it, but he took a risk there.
Right.
The Broncos players could have been playing hard.
But that's what I'm saying, is there is a unwritten rule that
I hate unwritten rules.
I know, but I'm just telling you why this is a problem, because Kareem Jackson, if the Ravens lined up in victory formation, Kareem Jackson can say, "Hey, there's time on the clock. I'm never giving up," and he can literally take a 20-yard head start right when they snap it, jump over,
Sure, fine, I guess.
The fight-
That's fine.
Everyone
Whatever.
is going to say that's BS.
And
Whatever, that's
there
fine,
would be a huge
I guess.
fight that would ensue because
Yes.
the Ravens would be justifiably upset at this violation of professional standards and protocol.
yeah, so there's an understanding
But that is different. Again, one team is saying it's over. The Ravens never said it was over.
What's up, Allie? Oh, okay. We'll take the super chat. It only matters to y'all because we did it on your watch. It's not about you. Fangio was so pissed because he wanted to stop that streak.
Is this a Ravens fan?
I appreciate
the super chat from the Ravens fan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Feel like maybe we didn't need to derail the conversation for a Ravens fan, but hey, that's just me.
That's all right. Hey, I'm rooting for a playoff rematch.
Yeah, I think everyone is now.
Let's absolutely. And an interesting point that someone brought up in the press room today, I don't remember who it was, said, do you think the Ravens would have done this to the Chiefs or the Bills or the Browns or someone that they actually thought they were going to be playing again? I don't either.
Do people think the NFL would have made a team like the Chiefs, who were down all their quarterbacks, play on that Sunday?
Yes, I do, because of the details we found out. I do. I think that
Under
was
that
an
exact
intentional
scenario,
punishment.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. But so speaking of Kareem Jackson, here's what he had to say about it today, which I love.
Earmuffs again.
Yes, earmuffs. When asked about it, he said, quote, "I don't give a shit about that last play." And then he went on to say, "I want to talk about the plays that matter, the plays that we got beat in." And that, to me, was coach speak right there in probably the direction Vic Fangio should have taken this. And the reason I say that is because last night after the game, guys, Vic Fangio said, "We're on to Pittsburgh. We can't let this hangover seep into next week." And then what's he do?
He brings up bullshit.
He brings it.
Now
There we
I'm
go.
cursing.
There we
They got
go.
me going.
And that's where this is where I say, okay, I think the Ravens were in the wrong for that call. I think Vic Fangio was in the wrong for what he said today, for not moving on, and for calling out an entire organization. You better have receipts, and you know what they say about being in glass houses and throwing stones.
Yeah.
Okay? So
What do they say?
You
Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to make that kind of accusation of another organization, you had better be squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Have not an ounce of impropriety on this sort of thing.
And this is a guy who whines about the what did he call the police? The fatigue police.
Yes.
The guy who whines about the fatigue police. So he's not exactly, Mr. Player Safety.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And so it was a weird look for him because his players are now coming out and saying, "We're listening to our coach." The coach is saying, "I'm not listening to myself. I want to talk about this again." He could have said it was BS and moved on, and it would have been moving on.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, Mace, he brought other things in. Noah Fant was...
This is why I say everybody's in the wrong on this. In some way. Both sides are wrong.
Does Vic Fangio strike you as someone who, when he leaves a place, everyone's like, "Man, I loved that guy"? For me, I don't think so.
They loved him
fair.
in Chicago.
They sure did. But
Into his defense,
I
to be
just
fair.
wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh was like, I can't really stay in Fangio, so I don't care if we dunk on him.
And so this brings
But
up
then
an
he went to
interesting
go work
thing.
for his brother
Well,
at Stanford,
and
which
that's
is so
what's
interesting. Yeah.
Vic Fangio wasn't fired from Baltimore, right? When he was there.
Because he was, I think, coaching linebackers, right?
Yep.
And then he goes to Stanford to work for John's brother Jim as his defensive coordinator.
But you know what was interesting is just last week, Vic Fangio said that he and Jim had an agreement that whenever Jim made the jump to the NFL, he would become his defensive coordinator. But Vic Fangio left a year early to go with him to college to be his defensive coordinator there, just for no reason. Vic didn't say why. Was there a tiff between him and John? I don't know. And like we said, John today said that he thought they were on good terms. Not anymore.
Well, but the thing is, kind of
great.
having that little
It
handshake
is.
thing would be pretty common. Remember how John Fox brought a bunch of coaches over from Carolina with him to Denver when he took the job. Now, going to 2010, John Fox knew he was a one-year guy in Carolina. He was in the last year of his contract. Jerry Richardson wasn't renewing him. He'd made that clear. And so how was John Fox able to bring, say, like Tyke Tolbert, for example, onto his Carolina staff? It was basically by saying, look, this is probably a one-year thing, but when I go somewhere else, I'll make sure you're taken care of.
Yep.
That sort of thing happens a lot.
This we should probably go to break, but I don't want to because I like where this is heading. But it brings up another conversation for me that's been really like weighing on me over the last day or so since the game ended yesterday. And let me ask you guys this, just something that I was thinking of putting out there, and then I realized that it's too toxic right now. In what way can you think of Vic Fangio improving since he got to Denver as head coach?
Boy.
Not game management based on what I saw yesterday.
Yeah. I think the players...
This is going exactly where I wanted it to go. I don't think he has. And that's really concerning to me. And as he kind of did this thing today that was a little bit childish, I thought, and I just started thinking, like, I don't know if Vic Fangio is necessarily cut out for this gig. I think he is a fantastic defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. I think that he is a really smart football person. Mm-hmm. And we've always had this little like underlying thing that was like, is he a head coach? And I'm really like getting closer and closer to just a point where I'm saying I don't know if he's a head coach. And just even him throwing down his headset after that, it just was like
I felt bad for Rick Seifert, who is the Broncos like telecommunications guru since time immemorial, and he's always there on the sideline, always. And I'm looking at Rick and the look on his face, and he's probably thinking.
He kind of went
crap. Like what? A, what are you doing? B, I'm like he's probably thinking, you know how much that cost?
Yes, that's totally
probably just destroyed.
Is that who you see in the video, or is it someone else?
Like the guy in the white shirt.
Yeah,
that's Rick. That's Rick Seifert.
He literally goes.
Like if you call the Broncos switchboard and nobody's in, and you hear this baritone voice, that's Rick Seifert.
Okay, I didn't know you could call the Broncos.
I didn't know either.
You call their office and it's after hours and there's not a receptionist to pick up the phone. You call the main switchboard. You're going to hear Rick Seifert.
Should we call him right now and see what happens?
Well, no, because there's a receptionist there who answers the phone. But yeah, like you hear this voice and that's him. He's been there for a long time. He's handled the sideline comms for a long time. I felt really bad for Rick. Watching that.
Yeah,
like
Harrison, I think, tweeted it out.
For him.
Harrison tweeted out the video and was like, whoever this audio guy is, who's going to have to like buy a new headset for next week because it's just like, come on, man. But anyways, I don't know. So I started thinking about that, and then I started thinking, in what areas has Vic gotten better as a head coach since he got to Denver? And I just have a really hard time identifying those. And I don't think he's been as open to change as I thought he would be in terms of like game management coach. How about fixing the special teams issues? I don't know. This is kind of backfiring on Vic, where like some people might be rallying around him like, yes, like thank you for standing up for the Broncos. And I'm just like, man, I don't know.
And hearing Kareem,
I think he's in over his head. That's basically what I'm saying is I think he might be in over his head.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's gotten better at dealing with players on kind of an individual basis when they need to be dealt with. But I do think sometimes you see this with a lot of assistants that move into the big chair. It's the Peter principle, right? You don't know what one level too high is until you put him in that spot. It's possible that's what you're seeing with Fangio. That's why, I mean, me personally, if I were making a hire, I wouldn't hire somebody who hadn't run their own shop before. That's just me. When they were going through the coaching candidates in January of 2019, my choice probably would have been Munchak because I knew that he had experience running the shop. It
kind of, and honestly reminded me, and I tweeted about this with Carl Durrell this weekend, smacking down the camera as he went by. I was like,
he's been a head coach before, too.
Right, but I was thinking to myself, like, that's the thing?
Right.
Yeah. That's what you're mad about?
Right.
You're not, like, and I realize internally he's probably mad about a lot of other things, but I'm like, okay, so, your quarterback can hardly complete a pass. Your offensive coordinator doesn't know how to call a game. And the guy who's videoing you too close, that's who you're mad at? And that's how I feel about Vic. I'm like, dude, your team just laid an absolute egg. Mm-hmm. You failed them.
Your defense was bad.
They failed you. Everyone on your side of the equation failed.
There wasn't a
except
good
for Caden
phase.
Stearns.
There wasn't a good phase yesterday.
Right, and so, but you're mad at John Harbaugh. You're mad at the wrong thing, man.
Right.
Be mad. Look in the mirror, and so
Yep.
that was just like a moment for me where I'm like, you're thinking about this all wrong.
Yep, and we have someone in the comment section who says they're really glad to see emotion from Vic though, and some fired up and
In the wrong place.
I was gonna say I agree with that. Yeah, it's good to see emotion from Vic. I agree with that, but it's in the wrong place.
And that was actually almost my first reaction when I saw the Carl Durrell video. I was like, oh, look, a little bit of life from the guy.
Right.
And then I was like, nah, no, not the right way to
But
do
that's
it.
also
Like-
dangerous for the person holding the camera.
Yeah, and that's
and
a
there
little
was
far down the rabbit
there wasn't
hole for
even
me,
3
but-
seconds left on that one. So now I agree with you about safety.
That was
Yep.
Hey, now.
after the whistle. All right. Before we move on, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Breckenridge Brewery, the absolute best beers on planet Earth. They hooked us up for the tailgate yesterday. Everyone, just enjoying them. Some Breck Brew, some good companies, all of the great products that they make. You can come down to the DNVR bar. By the way, DNVR bar, great crowd for the game yesterday. Wish they had more to cheer about, just like I wish the fans in the stadium had more to cheer about. But everyone has Breck Brews to cheer about. Never a bad time to cheer about Breck Brews.
Never a bad time to cheer about Breck Brews, and never a bad time to get in on our DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week, guys. And let's dive into that right now. And guys, I need your help. I got 2 that I really like. Tell me which one's better. I like the over in tonight's game. You have it 51.5 between the Chargers and the Raiders. I think this game is going to be an absolute blast. Although there's no Manning cast tonight, is that right?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
How did they mess that up? How did they not get
What, you
17
think-
games?
You know the answer to this.
Peyton's too busy.
Yes.
What? I guess you just don't want
What
Eli
Peyton
doing it.
wants, Peyton gets. And don't forget, Peyton's also a broadcasting mogul. Look at all the stuff that his production company is cranking out right now on ESPN Plus. They're basically populating ESPN Plus with content. He's a busy man right now.
Yeah, he is. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I like the over there. I think it's going to be a great game. But then, guys, I hate to say this, being an Alabama fan, Georgia is unbelievable.
Oh.
They are so good.
Ooh.
They are 14.5-point favorites against Auburn. In Auburn, they're gonna crush them. Guys, have you seen what Georgia's been doing?
Yes.
They've allowed
Their
23
defense
points
is
in 5
insane.
games, 2 back-to-back shutouts. They've nearly covered the spread, huge spreads, in the first quarter in back-to-back games. 2 games ago, they were 36-point favorites. They were up 35-0 in the first quarter.
Maybe the Buffs can hire their defensive coordinator again. It almost
Try
worked
it.
out last time.
All you have to do is keep them this time.
Yes.
So I like both of those. I'll have 2 picks of the week. Georgia over Auburn, and give me the over tonight.
All right. I will go into the quarterback props section of the DraftKings Sportsbook. Derek Carr,
Okay.
averaging 380 yards per game so
Insane.
far.
Insane.
His over-under tonight set at a measly 286.
So you get 100 yards off?
100 yards under his average, you just barely lose the bet. So basically what I think is that the Raiders aren't that interested in running the ball anymore.
Yes.
And they don't
Josh
really
Jacobs might not play.
and they don't really need to the way that they can kind of use the short passing game. I think that we're going to see Derek Carr put up some crazy numbers this year. And the fact that he now has a vertical threat that's reliable in Henry Ruggs changes the entire middle of the field for him. And of course Waller, it's I don't want to do this, but it's similar to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, to where you're going to have to commit extra resources somewhere. Some teams are going to say, hey, if you can make that 40, 50-yard throw down the field, go ahead. Well, teams have done that, and he's done it.
Right.
So I think it's going to be really hard to defend the pass against Derek Carr this year. I think he goes over that 286 pretty easily.
I don't like this for our conversation next week about the Raiders. That's a scary sight.
Yeah, it is. Eventually they'll fall apart. They always do.
They do.
All right, we got baseball playoffs, right?
Oh, man. Yes, we do.
Baseball season was over a few weeks ago.
whatever. Some of us, it's going on. But I'm not going to make my usual pick here because we don't yet have the odds on the over-under for strikeouts for the pitchers going against the Atlanta Braves in that big Milwaukee-Atlanta series. I am going to bet on the Tom Brady market. We know that there is a Tom Brady effect on every sports market he's in, right?
Yes.
Tampa Bay
Which is
Rays,
your market.
losers of the World Series last year in 6 games, 15-2 odds to win it all. I'm taking the Rays to win it all, to finally
like
break through after 2 World Series losses since '08, banging on the door, being a perennial contender. This is the year the Rays bust through and get that trophy.
I love it.
I mean, the Tom Brady effect is really hard to disagree with. So.
I can't. I want to dismiss it. I can't. I just can't.
It's insane.
It is.
I mean, when you look at like the effect he's had on every place, going all the way back to when he was born in the mid, like that sparked the Niners dynasty.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. Then he goes to college and it follows him there.
The Red Wings win a championship or 2 while he's there.
Yep.
It's unreal.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And what also is unreal is over at DraftKings Sportsbook, if you bet on any football game this week and there is a point scored in that game, you get $100 in free bets. That is unreal. That is literally unbeatable. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL was 1943. So your odds are pretty darn good that you're going to come away with $100 in free bets. So head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and get in on our picks of the week as well. Use the promo code DNVR to get that $100 in free bets if either team scores a point in a game that you bet on over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Before we move on, I want to ask you, how does your Aunt Julie, Zach, like working at Ball?
Loves it.
Yeah.
Loves
What's
it.
great about the Ball experience for her?
The way they treat their employees.
All right. And you know what? You can get in on that as well. If you're looking for a career change, want to do something different, want to work at a great workplace, check out our friends over at Ball. And that, of course, is as in Ball Arena, as in the aerospace technology company, as in the world's largest aluminum can and packaging manufacturer. They, last year, guys, made over 101 billion cans with a B. They'll make even more than that this year, including this can that I've got in my koozie in my left hand right now. So they need production technicians to make even more cans at their facility over in Golden. They've got a 400-person plant over there, and the demand for sustainable aluminum beverage cans is greater than ever because aluminum is highly sustainable. 75% of all aluminum ever produced on the face of the earth still in use. It can be used over and over. That's why Ball is so high.
What
on
percentage?
Aluminum. That is 75%. Thank you for keeping me on brand. Aluminum is infinitely recyclable. It can be used over and over and over again. So they've got positions available in Golden. You can check out jobs.ball.com, search for Golden, or you can text Golden to 77222, and you're going to be in touch with the open positions over at Ball's facility in Golden. So remember, that's jobs.ball.com, or text Golden to 77222 and be unstoppable with our friends over at Ball.
All right, love it. We did the fun part of this conversation. Now I guess we have to go to the less fun part. What's the update with the Broncos on their injury front?
Actually, Ryan, it may be encouraging outside. Actually, no. I think for the most part, since we talked yesterday, it's all looking good. And let's start with the biggest one. Teddy Bridgewater, guys.
Before you do that, do we have to let you go, Mace?
Got 5 more minutes.
All right, we got
There
5.
we go. 5 more minutes.
I can push for 5. Let's do it.
Teddy Bridgewater is in the concussion protocol. That is official as of today, meaning he has to go through many steps in order to be cleared. Asked if he could start practicing on Friday, Vic seemed a little bit more optimistic, saying he may be able to start doing some things earlier in the week, but my guess is he's not going to be able to be a full participant in practice until Friday, and as we know, Friday is more of the walkthrough. Saturday, you have a true walkthrough. So then the question is, can Teddy Bridgewater be the starting quarterback? Exactly.
Easily.
I don't know why Vic didn't say that, but he didn't. He said, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll always see with Vic.
We'll
Yes.
see. Keep them guessing. But here's the thing. We've seen guys that had the shortest possible turnaround time from concussion going through the protocol to playing the next week. So conceivably, if he has that time frame, he could do some walkthrough stuff on Wednesday and then watch practice. Thursday, he could do some individual stuff. Like you said, Friday, he could be full go.
Right.
And you're getting all the mental reps. You're getting all the classroom work. If Teddy is sailing through the stages of the protocol, and Troy Rank reported that he was hanging out on the field last night for a little bit, about an hour or so after the game.
We're not allowed to talk to him, but apparently like, Peyton Manning is.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you know what? If that's the case, and he goes through each step at the earliest possible time, I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't play in Pittsburgh.
If he's cleared on
Yeah.
Saturday night, he's playing for me.
Can I just say this? Because like sometimes the way you feel about things on Monday is way more honest than the way you feel about things on Friday or
Yep.
Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
I need to say this on the record now so that you guys hold me accountable for it. My prediction on this game will teeter 100% on whether Teddy Bridgewater is playing.
And I 100% agree with that.
If Teddy plays, I'll have the Broncos winning. If he
Yep.
doesn't, I will have them losing.
So then with that, are you surprised that over at DraftKings Sportsbook, the Broncos open up as a 1.5 point favorite against the Steelers? Or is that them
No,
kind of
because
hedging?
in the same way that Pittsburgh is going to prepare for Teddy Bridgewater, Vegas is going to prepare for Teddy Bridgewater, saying
Okay.
until there's
Yeah.
news that he isn't going to
Right.
play,
Right.
we have to operate as if he is.
So then what happens, let's say Friday morning it comes out that Teddy's not going to pass the concussion protocol, Drew Lock is starting. Do you think that line flips?
Yes.
Easily.
Yesterday, the Broncos were plus 350 to win at a halftime. As soon as news comes down that Teddy's not coming back, it went all the way up to plus 500.
Wow.
So it showed you how they felt about it. I think you said the Broncos are 1 point favorites. I think it'll probably go
1.5.
all the way to 2.5 point dogs.
Wow.
Kind of like it
Massive
happened
swing.
this past week. The Broncos started as a favorite and end up as an underdog against the Ravens at home. There's kind of the old money kind of kicks in.
Yep.
And look, the Steelers are 1-3, but the storyline that is probably going to hear over and over this week is that Pittsburgh is a desperate team coming to a tough home environment. Then, a lot of people are going to expect Pittsburgh to win this game because organizationally, this is the kind of game that Pittsburgh wins when its back is to the wall.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I mean, they haven't had things completely fall apart in a long time. So that's the biggest one. I think that's a little more hopeful for Teddy. And also, Mace, you said he was on the field an hour after the game. Literally an hour after he sustained the concussion, Vic said Teddy told him he felt much better. And that was an hour after. Now, maybe that was Teddy just being an optimistic guy. But if that's the case, and then later he's feeling good enough to be on the field, hanging out with Peyton. I have. And
Was it actually Peyton?
Peyton was on the field last night. Oh, you didn't know that?
Peyton and
I
Marshall.
was
By the way,
half confident.
Oh, that was you nailed it.
Marshall
yeah.
Manning doesn't have a bad delivery for a 10-year-old, by the way.
Shocking.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, when
He
I
only
saw
has,
the,
like, the
when I
greatest
saw the
genes
video
possible.
of him in a Jerry Jeudy jersey. By the way, that's so cool that he's wearing a Jeudy jersey.
Yeah.
I love that.
Especially since he didn't. Well, I guess there's no one left that overlapped with Peyton other
think
than
about
Vaughn and
on
McManus.
the
He's a
offensive
10-year-old,
side,
a
yeah.
hot rookie. Jerry Jeudy's is his generation, his hero, basically,
Yeah.
right? So, watching him throw, and I'm thinking, okay, 4 or 5 years from now, what high school is he probably going to? In this
Creek?
town?
Valor.
Creek or Valor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know what Peyton's relationship is with Dave Logan, or if Dave Logan will still be coaching at that
Yeah.
point.
So, but he's probably going to be at Creek or Valor, one of the two. We'd probably
Yeah.
think that, and going to be tearing it up, and he's going to probably be the darling of high school recruiters. Just it's going to be Arch, and then
Yeah.
Marshall, and
Yeah.
then my
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
I hate the Arch Manning thing. Like
I
I
love
don't
it.
think
I love it.
I don't know if
I
I've
think it's
ever
unfair.
posted anything about Arch. I hate it. I feel terrible for him.
Yeah.
but he's really good. That's
He is really good,
That's
but,
the
like-
thing. He's legit.
He's literally some scout for like Rivals or something said he's gonna be the best Manning. I was
Okay,
like,
that's
that
crazy.
is such
That's
bull.
cra-
That is so unfair.
That's insane.
But if you,
yeah,
the thing
that's
is,
not
and
fair.
Sometimes we do throw things out there on social because we know they appeal to the audience.
Yes, I know, I hate
and
it.
Look, I know that if I tweet something about Arch Manning, a video clip, I know Bronco fans are going to eat that up. They love it.
I would care a
Because
lot
we love
more
it
if
because in Broncos country we love all things Manning right now.
I would care a lot more if he lived in Colorado and there was like a 1% chance he
my
was going to
God.
see you.
Can you imagine
Like
if,
Marshall,
if Marshall
there you go.
decides to play football and he's a quarterback? Can you imagine what Friday nights are going to be like for that kid? I mean,
Yep.
we're probably, you know what? The three of us are probably going to be going to go check out Valor or Creek.
Yeah,
Wherever he's
I mean,
playing.
those are always fun anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then hopefully he becomes a Buff.
Oh, would that be something?
It's hired
Well,
David
you figure
Cutcliffe.
by then David Cutcliffe is probably retired.
He's got a son.
So it's So it's wide open. Does David Cutcliffe have a son?
Yeah, like in the
coaching?
business.
That's a good question.
Oh, how about speaking of sons in the business, the Belichick?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Steven, is that who it is? Or
Yeah.
Steve?
I can't believe the hair that Bill allows him to have.
That game last night, what a game.
Yeah, Mac Jones, man, outplayed Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He looked so good.
He did.
And I don't know, I assume this is by design, because anytime you think something's not by design and like petty and you're wrong, they were running like, if you go back, you could probably sync up Tom in the Patriots uniform running the exact same plays.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that was the most similar was the little throw to Jonnu Smith on the goal line, the play action, just instantly turn around. I was like, I've seen Tom Brady throw that to Gronk 1,000 times. It is just so, it was like eerie.
Yeah.
It was the biggest moral victory of Bill Belichick's football life. They lost the game, and you can say maybe they should have been more aggressive on fourth down and not sent Nick Folk out there to try that 56-yarder. But they lost the game, but
You know why he did that?
But Mac Jones acquitted himself so well that he justified Belichick's decision.
You know why Belichick kicked that field goal, even though he knew it was not the right decision for winning the game?
Why?
Because then Mac Jones went to sleep last night saying, I did everything I could.
He didn't have a fourth down failure. It's a good
Right.
point.
If he
And he got it, and the kick wasn't short either.
if he goes out there on fourth down and throws it and it gets deflected at the line of scrimmage, he goes to sleep last night thinking, oh my God, how did I not throw it somewhere else? But he and Bill, I guarantee you after the game, told him, hey, son, you did everything you could.
Yeah.
You went out there and you beat Brady other than the field goal not going in. And it was totally a vibes move. It's the only way I can make that make sense, because from a football standpoint, it didn't make sense. In the rain, your kicker's hurt.
Yep.
And you were going to give Tom 50 seconds. You know he's going to go kick a field goal.
Before I go, I gotta say something in my role here as the resident Buccaneer fan. Given that Nick Folk's kicks or wayward kicks were responsible for the Bucs losing to the Patriots 4 years ago on a Thursday night, if Folk had hit that kick, as a Bucs fan, that is my worst nightmare. Like at that point, I would have been like, "Oh my God, we're never gonna be on the positive side of this kicker thing."
Reminds me of when Jordan Lyles almost no-hit the Rockies after
Oh
being
my
so
God,
bad.
that was so bad.
I was so nothing against Nick Folk, but I was so relieved when that kick hit the up.
I gotta say that kick though was way closer than I thought.
I
was
thought it
gonna
wouldn't
be.
have the
Oh,
distance
yeah.
in the rain and the wind
Oh,
at
yeah, I
Gillette
didn't think
Stadium,
so
but
at all.
that thing, I was like, the way that thing carried, I was like, whoa. Anyway,
Yep, he gave it a good effort. All
all
right,
right,
Mace, we'll
good
let
job,
you go.
good effort, guys.
See you,
I'll see you
Mace.
tomorrow.
Man, I do wish that kick would have gone in, and we got to see Tom just walk off. I mean, because he would have. It just would have been a little more exciting than a missed kick kneel down.
Yep. Tom, a little off. Both of us expected him to be
Yep.
on his P's and Q's.
Yep.
He did have some unfortunate drops.
Yeah.
Mike Evans had
Antonio
one.
Brown, hold
Antonio-
on to the ball.
Yeah, Brandon was saying like that he should have caught that. I thought that was a really, really difficult
Hit
catch.
both his hands.
Yeah, but he's
Should
fully extended without diving, so then you have to like readjust yourself.
So then should he have dove?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's on him.
Well, yeah. I mean,
on him.
it's still raining and ball pops out. It was at least an 8 out of 10 difficulty catch
Was that more difficult than Alberto's catch?
by
Should
a
have been catch.
million.
Yes, I agree. So then Alberto should have caught it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's debatable.
Yeah. No. Okay. I agree. Yeah.
Alberto should have caught it and like moonwalked into the end zone.
Ooh, who made the catch? Hollywood Brown. Was Antonio Brown's catch? Oh, did the cousin do better than the older cousin?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because that's similar, right?
Yep.
Obviously, Hollywood was kind of streaking across, and Antonio was just going straight. Mm-hmm. What'd you think of all the nicknames for Hollywood Brown last week?
I didn't catch this.
People were saying that
They were saying like different cities.
because he really struggled last week, and I think he dropped like 2 open touchdowns against Detroit. They were saying you don't deserve the name Hollywood if you don't make the big plays. So calling him Inglewood and all the other parts. And so that's why when he caught that one, people were like, okay, Hollywood, you earned it.
Yeah, he's fast, man.
Yes, he is.
He's a tough cover.
He really is.
And,
he really is.
I mean, they've done a really good job of building that offense just for explosive plays.
And you know what's interesting is with Tyreek Hill coming out, everyone tried to get their next Tyreek Hill, right? You saw the Raiders go with Henry Ruggs, but before you saw Hollywood Brown be drafted, both first-round guys. But these guys take a while. And I think people were ready to write both of those guys off as busts. And now, like you said, unfortunately, Henry Ruggs is developing.
All right, in the comments, good point. Taylor says, can we get back to the injury update? So we got through Teddy. Where are we with other guys?
Patrick Surtain, he's okay. Chest. It wasn't a rib thing. Vic said it a very interesting way. He said it was just a different abdomen sort of injury for him.
For Pat
Surtain.
I really need the tinfoil hat today. I've been all over my theories. No, this will be my last one. It won't be.
Definitely won't be.
I thought they maybe took him out of there because he was getting cooked.
I mean, would make sense.
Yeah.
And that was his worst game.
And cooked isn't fair. He was they were picking on him.
And they were successful picking on him.
But it's not like he was giving up touchdown after touchdown. It was just, hey, big down. Let's go after Pat Surtain.
Yep. And I could absolutely see that happening. Because at that point, what do you have to lose?
Right. And it's just like,
game's
hey,
gone.
you look a little banged up. Come on. Why don't you just sit it out?
We're protecting you, kid.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's day-to-day right now, Ryan. I would be shocked if he doesn't play this week. And, in fact, if he's not practicing. And Deontay Spencer, day-to-day as well. I'm shocked something didn't break. So that's really good news for him.
That is good news.
Kendall Hinton, though, Ryan, we may see Vic Fangio was fired up about John Harbaugh today. He was also fired up and honest about other Broncos. Said Garrett Bowles needs to play better. And so I like seeing that. But for Kendall Hinton, he said he did a good job in the return game. The Broncos aren't going to cut any wide receivers now. But if they get up to full strength outside of KJ Hamler and they need to make a roster move, wouldn't be surprised if Kendall Hinton takes that job from Deontay.
Interesting. His first one I was very worried about because there was all sorts of traffic. He was moving towards the ball. I was like, oh, God, this could go terribly. And he caught it with ease.
Yes, he really did.
And
that's it.
Nothing on the offensive lineman?
Oh, yes. Dalton Reisner probably will be back this week. That's huge. Graham Glasgow, not as certain. We saw Graham was moving a little, not very good.
But
so I wouldn't expect that.
I got to go see how Moody did. Do you have any takes on how he played?
What we expect of him.
Yeah.
Good in the run game. Really struggled in the pass game.
So at least I feel a little bit more comfortable with there only being one guard out.
Yeah.
But this kind of goes back to last season where Lloyd Cushenberry also not exactly a shining star in there. So you had your entire interior offensive line just not look good at all.
Bobby Massey is probably the Broncos' best offensive lineman right now. Garrett Bowles gave up a sack yesterday. He's given up 4 sacks this season in 4 games.
Wow.
That's not $17 million worth.
Is that really true?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's been credited with 4 sacks.
That's really bad.
Yeah, it is.
And a hold.
Yep, exactly.
People were all over me about this. So Drew's ball placement on that drive was really bad.
Yep.
He has the back shoulder throw to Tim Patrick, which he threw to the front shoulder.
Yep.
He has the throw to Cortland Sutton, which was like he just couldn't get there. He was trying to run through defenders.
Yep.
And then the throw to Javonte Williams, which ends up in a loss of 3.
Yep.
Because it's too high.
Yep.
And so I was like, Drew's ball placement is what killed that drive. And everyone's like, no, Bowles killed that drive. I thought Bowles actually got an unfair shake on that call. It just looked weird because they spun around, but he didn't do any of...
Flipped him around.
No, but he still had his hands...
He danced with him.
But he had his hands in the right spot.
And to be fair to you, I mean, if Bowles doesn't hold or isn't called for that, the drive is still done.
Right.
With the ball placement.
He did not look good. Drew... I feel bad for Drew because he got put into a really tough position. He didn't prepare as a starter. The offensive line was what it was, and he came in to a team that was like foaming at the mouth, getting after the quarterback, and that's his biggest weakness. And so he got a tough shake, but he did not represent himself well.
So speaking of that though, does that show that he's not a backup in this league? If he can't prepare, since that's what a backup is. And he talked about this after the game. He was given the question, I know you don't want to make excuses, but how much did the lack of reps hurt? And he said, I don't want to make excuses, but it really hurt not getting those reps. But then on the flip side, that sounds like it's coming from a starter, which Drew
Yeah,
probably views himself as. And I understand why he doesn't want to accept that backup role, but if he wants to be in the NFL and get these 3-year,
Checks.
$15 million, checks, $15 million contracts, he's going to have to be that role.
Yeah, this is a really tough position for a guy who literally has been a backup coming into this year for 1 year and 8 games of his life. He was I guess he didn't even. It was only half of his first year, right, at Missouri.
Yep.
In half of his first year in the NFL, he has no backup wiring.
Right.
And I think there's definitely something to be said for you got starting pitchers and you've got relief pitchers. Obviously, most of those guys are starters in college.
Right.
But there's a certain wiring to a guy who, you call him in the 6th inning when things are starting to go awry and you say, hey, we need you to get warm ready or get warm quick and come in here and pitch for us. And you could probably make the case that Drew isn't cut out for that. The other side of that is Brett Rippon, who comes in at the end of a game last year. What game was that?
That was it was the Bucks game.
Comes in at the end of the Bucks game, goes like 7 for 7, ends up throwing a pick in the red zone, goes 7 for 8, I think.
Yep.
But he was like, he came in, he did the quick stuff, he knew to get rid of the ball.
Yep.
Maybe he's more cut out for the role. But I don't want to judge Drew too much off of yesterday because it was a bloodbath out there. They were just feasting.
Unfortunately, the Steelers are probably going to also try to feast off Drew or Teddy, whoever it is, especially if
You'll
Teddy's
have a
coming
game
off
plan ready for that.
Well, but fortunately for Drew, he will get most of the reps, if not all of the reps this week. The unfortunate part is if Teddy plays, he probably won't get many of any of the live reps in practice this week.
Yeah.
So it's you want Teddy to play.
Does Teddy need those? I mean, obviously you want them.
Yeah,
Does Teddy
obviously it
need
helps.
them?
No.
I
And
don't
that,
think so
Ryan,
either.
that's why if Teddy doesn't even do one step and walk through today and he's cleared Saturday night, he's my starting quarterback.
Me too. My starting pizza
Oh,
is Sexy Pizza.
oh that's sexy transition.
Thank you. It's a true Colorado institution. 13 years in the Denver community. They have so many cool things, and they're really invested in Denver, which is why they mean a lot to us. They even do philanthropies, which I also appreciate a good pun. Where they do with this is a portion of every sale from their 5 specialty pies is donated to a range of different nonprofits right here in Colorado. So if you want them to consider your nonprofit or event for that, you can go to www.sexy.pizza and submit. But of course, when you go down to Sexy Pizza, make sure you check out those philanthropies. You can get 12, 16, or 18-inch crust, and it is delicious. If you haven't come down to a DNVR tailgate and tried it yet, highly recommend that.
So good.
Or just hit them up, order a pizza, and enjoy how delicious it is.
And you will be set, except you'll need to brush your teeth after, just maybe at the end of the day. And you'll also need to go get your teeth checked out at Green Mountain Dental twice a year after eating all that Sexy Pizza. And Ryan, you said how Sexy Pizza is committed to Denver. Well, so is Green Mountain Dental. They are part of our family here at DNVR. We're part of their family. A lot of people go to Green Mountain Dental, so make them part of your family as well by checking out them. They're just a 15-minute drive from downtown Denver. You get to talk Colorado sports with them, and if you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, you'll get a free Sonicare toothbrush. Doesn't get any better than that. Get treated like family, and then literally they give you gifts like they're part of your family. So check them out over at Green Mountain Dental. Schedule that cleaning, x-ray, and exam, and get a free Sonicare toothbrush.
Could you imagine if you were able to put some like Hassel Cattle Company products on a Sexy Pizza?
Ooh,
Yeah,
that'd be good.
that would be
Are we
incredible.
doing sausage?
You could do this if you just order some Hassel Cattle Company to your house. Go for $200 worth because then you'll get the free shipping. Of course, you'll get 10% off with the code DNVR10. Stock your freezer up, order a Sexy Pizza, and then try it as a topping. I feel like it's a win-win for everyone. But Hassel Cattle Company, it's they call it the blue collar Wagyu because it's actually affordable for anyone. So check it out. Again, use that code DNVR10 for 10% off. And if you go over $200, you'll get free shipping, which you're going to want that much of this stuff.
Yes, you absolutely are. All right, Ryan, should we hop into the comment section?
I bet it's going to be just a bright
Everyone's
beam
really
of sunshine.
happy. Yeah, exactly. First one from Coach Tobin says, NFL, quarterback situation, coaching staff, and injuries. All can be fixed with a Band-Aid, but none are long-term solutions.
What do you think about that?
I think quarterback like right now for the Broncos?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do I believe that this coaching staff is the long-term answer? I haven't seen enough for that.
That's my thing is like, I always try to imagine, will this coach, will this coordinator be part of the next Broncos Super Bowl?
It's hard to say yes right now, right? And they have a losing record. Quarterback situation, again, I love what I've seen from Teddy through 3 games, but I'm not ready to sign to that contract yet, so I'm not ready to say long-term. And injuries, I don't really know how you see short-term or long-term there, but the injuries are bad.
Yes.
They stink. Next one coming in from Count Bridgula. Still getting used to that name. He says, thanks to that game, I stress ate half a pan of 7-layer dip and sucked down 4 Pilsners. I feel sick. What's the worst thing to eat too much of during a football game? Love the Count.
I always get caught up if there's like a M&M's bowl around or something because it's so easy to just keep out. And then eventually you're like, how many M&M's did I eat?
Yep, that's a good one. I would say something fried. Deep fried dough of some sort. What would that be?
Like donuts.
Just there we go. that would be too bad. That would hurt my stomach a lot.
Yeah, for me it's just if there's like an endless supply of something.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's like
M&M's is a
12
good
bags
one.
of chips and
Yep.
you just like keep eating chips cuz
Especially the stressed eating.
right, when you're not like you're just watching the game and you're not thinking, you're just like
Yep.
reaching into a bag.
Yep.
Cheez-Its are another one that I could eat endless amounts
Cheez-Its
of.
are so good. I'm hungry now.
Me too.
That always happens in the comment section. T-Wood16 says, Drew sucked, Teddy sucked, defense sucked, coaches sucked. Why do I watch some games and some teams' offensive play calls are so easy and they scheme wide receivers and tight ends open and it makes for easy completions for people to get in a groove and the Broncos can't seem to get any of that. How does Drew Lock go so cold and they don't call nice and easy plays to get him in a groove? Some quick and easy throws. I just don't get it. Huge game against the Steelers next week. Let's hope whoever starts at quarterback, they actually plan to have quick and easy throws against the Steelers pass rush, or it's going to be a brutal game for us to watch again. P.S. Brady got bailed out by the Patriots kicker once again. Hashtag not my GOAT.
So I kind of look at Shermer and Locke as just like a really bad match. I don't think either of them necessarily like each other. I don't think either of them feel the other one suits what they like to do.
Yeah.
And I really got that feeling compounded by the look on Pat Shermer's face. If you get a chance to rewatch the game and see this, it is so
Is it right
bad.
when Drew comes in?
Right when Drew comes in after his first negative play. I forget if it was an incompletion.
Won't be hard to find.
Or a sack or what it was. But Shermer is just up there like.
Oh, wasn't his first drop back a sack?
I think it was.
So yeah, it's probably that.
It was after that, and he mouthed something like "come" or whatever, and I kind of like get it. I'm trying to think like. I don't know, like when we do these shows, I like to joke around, and if you put someone next to me who like was like very
So serious,
stoic and didn't want to and like didn't laugh at my jokes, it would mess with me. So
that's
like,
the only reason you like me. I
yes,
laugh at
you
your
laugh
jokes.
at everything, so that's why you're here. So I think that there's just like a really bad, and they don't know how to work with each other.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear, Ryan. Right. I mean, what was interesting to me was we saw for a couple of plays, we saw quick reads from Drew that were by play design, and then they went away. I was like, wait, you did that 3 good
RPOs,
times.
I think
and,
they were
and went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like RPO with a little slant and a bubble,
And Drew was hitting them,
and then it just stopped.
and then it stopped.
It's like what I used to say about him, right? I was like, he's a 3-point shooter in real life.
Right.
You know, he was in high school. It's like some people just need to see the ball go through the net, and then they can go.
Also, a huge thing I have an issue with, I confirmed it with Noah Fant today, said, what changed about the offense when Drew came in? He said nothing. Ryan.
That's a problem.
That's a huge problem, and that's not on Drew. That's on Pat Shermer. If you and I, we can both talk Broncos, but we both probably have our strengths in terms of, how we are on the show, what we can talk about the best. And if the company wasn't going to use us in those strengths, like let's say I had to fill in for you for something and they wanted me to not use my strengths, that's just a silly way of using resources, right? I mean, and so I have a big problem with that. And if Drew Lock is the starter this week, I hope it's not the same offense that they started with Teddy Bridgewater last week.
Yes. I mean, this is peewee level stuff.
Yes. It really is.
Literally, if you went to City Park tonight
Yep.
and some local Denver team of 9-year-olds
Yep.
was running practice, and you asked the coach, okay, so what happens if your starting quarterback goes down? Do you do the same thing with your backup? He's probably saying, well, no. the starter has a lot bigger arm, so he takes some
Right.
more shot.
Right.
The backup's actually a little bit more of a runner.
Right.
So like
Yep.
every level of football should have this type of plan ready.
Yep, exactly. Chicago Bronco 86 says that was a rough game, but I do think we still need to take a breath and give it a few more weeks before passing judgment. The injuries are really starting to worry me, and the secondary was pretty concerning today. That being said, the season is really going to come down to how Teddy plays, and while his first half was not great, I'm nowhere near ready to call him a liability, and the internet seems to have decided. He had a rough first half, but Alvarado catches that ball, and he gets 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Besides, every week you see a quarterback have a tale of two halves. Him being injured was the number one issue to me in that game, since they were only down 10 going at halftime, despite the rough second quarter. But the moment Teddy was declared out for the game, it felt over. Time to forget about that one and look forward to a bounce-back week next week. They're easily in contention for the playoffs this year, so a lot to look forward to. I agree with a lot of that. And I totally agree that we're not calling Teddy done.
No, but a lot of people who had preconceived notions about him put those aside in the first game and decided to come, knives out after the game.
Those people were probably big Drew supporters, and so I imagine after that first half, I hope they are supporting Teddy again.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, wow. Omaha says, just finished watching this Sunday Nighter. One thing that has really stuck out to me was watching a bunch of games, including that one, the Broncos game. The reffing in this league is garbage. The inconsistency from game to game in terms of pass interference and roughing the passer is a black eye on the league. Given how important these calls or non-calls can be, it's shocking how poorly and inconsistently the games are called. What do you think?
I've become a little bit softer in my old age. And
Like for the refs, you have a little more of a heart?
I have a lot more heart in a lot of things.
Wow.
I think being a ref is just a horrible job that it's impossible to be good at.
It is.
And
And
so-
the NFL screws them by not giving them every resource they can.
And that's what I was going to say. That's the one thing that can change. But no one in any league is like, yeah, man, our refs are great.
Right, that's true.
Not no
Yeah.
conference in college football, no professional league. No one is saying, oh man, I love our refs. They're
Right.
super consistent.
Right.
It's a really, really, really hard job.
And you know what? If your team gets called for like 0 or 2 penalties in a game, you're not saying, wow, great refs. You're saying, look at the discipline we have.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with them.
100%.
He goes on and says, in terms of Broncos, they get smacked, and now it's time to see what they're made of. If Drew remains a quarterback, the team is borderline unwatchable. Jeez. The narrative that this quarterback camp competition was fixed is officially dead, along with Locke's Broncos career.
So,
It's a rough line.
people always confuse that. I think the competition can be fixed and still be right. You know what I mean?
Right.
The competition
right.
was slanted towards Teddy because they felt like
Right.
he was the better option, and they were right.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it wasn't. I think both things can be true.
Right. I agree with that. Yes.
Next one's from Melbourne Bronco. He says, "Hi guys, cue the music Solace from the Sting movie soundtrack." Remember that one, Zach?
Oh yeah. That's I love when they play it too.
I need to vent. Apologies in advance. Catch the damn ball, Garrett. Yes, it is on you. You get $1 million a game.
That's
Time
crazy.
to earn it, and stop making excuses. Shermer, don't panic. Stick with what's working. Run the damn ball. The damn cardboard cutout offensive line is frustrating. Okay, that's done. Usually it takes a whole new season to erase a losing culture. Even longer if it's been over 3 years of losing. It's like a virus, and it hides inside minds and comes out when the pressure is on. Praying Teddy is okay by game time. Otherwise, I have zero confidence. Cheers. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch the way that Drew played. But again, it's easy to forget that Teddy also played almost the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy had a worse completion percentage than Drew,
Yep.
by far. Next one from Sunny Rain. I'm glad no one ended up on IR this week. As for all the vitriol for Drew, what were you expecting? I'm over it. Regroup, do better next week.
Good message. Orange and Blur, guys, the most frustrating thing about the game was not the loss, the coaching, the injuries, etc. The most frustrating part was watching the Ravens bully our boys, and with the exception of Pookie and Caden Stearns, our guys not matching that intensity. Our vaunted secondary got shredded, and when Lamar threw short of the 6, the receivers bullied their way to a first down almost every time. How do we build a tough mindset like the Ravens have with this team? It seems like this has been a problem since 2015. So
I guess you don't kneel.
this is one of my issues with Vic as well. I don't think he's like a motivator,
Right.
and actually I kind of know he's not. and it results in the team staying even keel, which is great. Sometimes you just like need to get riled up.
Right.
Football is a sport where like adrenaline is on your side.
Yep.
And yes, sometimes you can get overamped. And like I thought Tom Brady was overamped to start the game last night. Those things happen, but we saw it so up close and personal with that practice against the 49ers.
Yep.
In joint practice, the 49ers come into Denver. What is that, 2019?
Yep.
Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
Last training camp before.
Yes. They come into Denver. It's 2019. The Broncos kind of mosey out of the locker room one at a time. And
They're like, this is normal.
yes, and the Niners are, doing the huddle and jumping up and down.
We're
like,
freaked out. What's
me and-
going on?
Yeah, me and Tyler, like, oh my God. And then they just punched him in the mouth all day long throughout the entire practice.
Yep.
And I was like, well, yeah, they were acting like this was a game. The Broncos just rolled out of bed, it looks like.
Yeah.
And that's been something that it feels like you never see this team get like super jacked up.
Yep.
And I just think sometimes you need to. And clearly the Ravens came in for that game jacked up.
Yep.
The Broncos were just the same as they always are.
If the Broncos aren't jacked up for this Steelers game, I think they'd lose. But first off, especially if they don't have Teddy. But then also, Ryan, I don't know what game they're going to get jacked up for. How jacked up can you get for a Raiders game coming in here if, let's say, the Raiders are on a 5-game win streak and you're on a 2-game losing streak? I mean, if they couldn't get pumped up for yesterday or this week, I don't have confidence that they're going to get there.
But who's pumping them up?
Right. Yeah.
Teddy a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and
He's
his,
not like
his,
the-
his
he's-
is like a motivational.
He's like a
way,
pastor,
right?
like,
Exactly. Yes.
More
yes.
than like a rah-rah,
Yeah.
like motivational coach.
Right. Exactly. You feel inspired being around Teddy. You're not running through a brick wall like right after he talks.
Right. And it's not Vaughn. Vaughn's not that type of guy either.
No. Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem could be that guy. But again, now you're like picking different guys to do. Sometimes like they also don't have a coach like that on the staff, I don't really think. You do have like some yellers and like Reggie Herring and Bill Kolar. But, I always look back to like when Eric Bieniemy was a coach with the Buffs in the early 2000s before he was the coordinator. He would be down on the sidelines and like before every kickoff, he'd be in the middle, punching guys and getting them riled up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need someone on the sideline who's like, their job is just to rile guys up, get them amped up.
You feel like Sean McVay is that guy for the Rams?
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And that doesn't mean every coach has to be that way,
Right.
but I feel like you do have to supplement your coaching staff with different types of personalities.
Yep.
Like Ed Donatell's not like that. Mike Munchak's not
Yeah.
like that. Pat Shurmur sure as hell is not like that.
And I did just point to a young example, but you think Pete Carroll's that guy too?
Yes,
so
exactly.
the youngest coach Brandon Staley, I think, has that now. One of the youngest coaches in the NFL and literally the oldest coach in the NFL. So it's just about the right personality. Right?
Totally. From Welsh Bronco 170, hey guys, today was the reality check I knew would come. Teddy is better than Drew. That is so apparently clear after last night's game. However, even steady Teddy was struggling. The coaching sucks. It's dire and it's inconceivable to think that Peyton cannot see it. No timeout taken again. The offensive play calling is yuck. The team is 9-win max. Draft a quarterback who can actually win these games. Peace out. None of the quarterbacks are winning. None of the young quarterbacks are winning games. I just feel like that needs to be harped on. It's easy to overlook when you're not dealing with it. Even Mac Jones, who looks amazing, is 1-3.
Yeah, I was going to say, who has the best record among these guys? Is it Mac Jones being 1-3 along with Justin Fields?
Zach Wilson, also 1-3.
Yeah, and T-Law, 0-4.
0-4.
Trey Lance, he hasn't really been playing, but now he's going to be playing.
They lost yesterday with him playing most of the game.
Did they?
I think so.
You're right, San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I guess it's Trey Lance, but again, he hasn't been playing. So you're right. Every every rookie quarterback has a losing record.
And again, I think the Mac Jones one is the most important example too.
Yeah.
He's playing well. They're
Yep.
still losing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's
By the way, never mind. No more Mac talk.
it's unfortunate that Zach for Mac. I'm all about it.
I know. I just we've talked enough about him today.
The Whiskey Cat says, this game felt terrible to watch. I turned the TV off after the first punt with Locke at the helm. I was a Locke stan in the offseason, but between this game and Teddy B's otherwise solid gameplay, I am out on Locke. After having seen some time to simmer down after this loss, I have faith that we can bounce back against the Steelers. I still have complete confidence in Teddy to rally the team for next week and beyond. Knock on wood that he stays healthy, lest we be locked out of a winning season. P.S. Praying George Payton smites Tom McMahon. I don't think George Payton's making any moves on the coaching staff unless it's firing Vic Fangio because this thing gets so off the rail. I mean, Ryan, I think we're talking 8-9 game losing streak for Vic Fangio to be fired after that 3-0 start this season, for to be fired midseason. And I don't think George Payton is firing Tom McMahon. That would have to come from Vic.
Yeah, we had a listener up here last night who was saying, I could see him getting fired if they fall to 4-5. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, no, it'd have to be real bad.
Again, it's always what's your plan afterward. So
Yep.
if they think, hey, Mike Munchak, this is a guy who can potentially be the future leader of our franchise, everyone in here adores him, that sort of thing, then maybe you make that
give him a
move.
shot.
But if not, you're not going to you're just not going to do it.
No.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. He mentioned getting ahead of it and being the first one in line to interview. Yes, that makes sense. But again, that's week 14
Right, exactly.
type of thing.
Yep. Mrs. Quill says, this is coming from an eternal pessimist, but I actually feel good about this team
There we
still.
go.
If Alberto makes that catch, Teddy has 2 touchdown passes at the half when he was not sharp at all, and we are only down 3. I know it's all hypothetical, but I really feel we would have won that game if he wouldn't have been concussed.
It's really hard for me to go there just because he wasn't playing well.
I think it would have felt a lot better.
It probably would have felt better. They would have moved the chains a little bit more. It wouldn't have been punt, touchdown,
Yep.
punt, interception.
Oh, I wish that was dramatic, but it wasn't. That was just true.
Yeah, exactly. It would have felt a little better. People wouldn't have been panicking. But one thing I realized yesterday is that, especially against good teams, the Broncos still have a really small margin of error. And Teddy and Alberto dropping that pass really highlighted that.
Yep.
Just you have to make the plays when they're out there. And it sucks when that happens. But I'm with you. It wouldn't have felt as bad. May said he thought the score would have been 23-13. It's true. That feels a lot better than 23-7. But it doesn't make any difference. I don't think they would have won. But there wouldn't have been as much panic, I don't think.
Right.
I think we're going to wrap up there. We have had the studio for quite some time now. We have to get ready for some other shows. But if you left your comment today and we weren't able to get to it, of course, just bring it over to tomorrow and we'll try to get to it then. Or we will get to it then. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, hit us with a thumbs up on your way out. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.